M2 MacBook Pro may be available sooner than expected. More details are surfacing about Apple's entry-level MacBook Pro, which is expected to feature an updated M2 chip after the Cupertino, California tech giant introduced its proprietary M1 silicon in 2020. Bloomberg reporter Mark Gurman claimed recently that the M2 chip will come to the 13-inch MacBook Pro later this year, with the latest reports from Digitimes indicating that the new MacBook Pro might be announced in early March. Digitimes also claims that Apple's supply chain partners maintained their production schedules throughout the Lunar New Year last week in preparation for the upcoming launch event. Gurman has also zoomed in on a March 8 date for Apple's virtual spring event, which might not only include the unveiling of the M2 MacBook Pro, but also a low-cost iPhone SE 5G and a new iPad. If accurate, Apple might be looking to get the M2 MacBook Pro on store shelves very soon after being announced, as it did with the M1 Pro and M1 Max MacBook Pro models, which were unveiled last fall. Apple is also said to be working on up to 4 other M2 computing devices, which might be released later in 2022. In addition to the M2 MacBook Pro, the brand might launch a MacBook Air, an entry-level 13-inch MacBook Pro, a 24-inch iMac, and an entry-level Mac Mini. Due to Gurman's description of the other potential M2 MacBook Pro, we currently don't have an idea of the size of the upcoming model. The current MacBook Pros, running the M1 Pro and M1 Pro Max chips, are 14-inch and 16-inch models, for example. Some suggest the different variants of display size, processor quality, and thinness could become confusing for consumers looking to blend value with a reasonable price. Currently, there is no telling where the M2 MacBook Pro will fit within Apple's product structure, or whether we should prepare for a revamp. Outside of the M2 chip, Gurman claims Apple might be getting rid of the Touch Bar for good on this model of MacBook Pro, but still has no immediate plans to bring Face ID to its laptop.